Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Hope you're having a good one. What's good, what's good, what's good? So, tonight's question, and it's the only question on Fridays that matters. Did you invest in yourself today? It's either yes or no. It's real simple. Did you invest in yourself today? So, there's a lot going on, right? There's absolutely a lot going on. All kinds of news from this morning, all kinds of news from this afternoon. But today, I want to do something a little bit different. Yo, Rick Ritchie in his house. What's good, what's good, what's good? I want to know what's on your mind. I want to know, what did you research that you want to talk about? Because I've got tons of news that I can talk about, right? I mean, we can talk about Zcash approaching its 8-year all-time high. We could talk about ARK Invest divested from Bitcoin, but invested in Bitmine immersion. Just saying. So there's a lot of stuff that we could be talking about. But I want to know, what did you research today that made you stop and go, that's interesting. So if you've got a topic, drop it in there and let's have a conversation. Until then, we'll keep going. How to grow my bags with AI. That's oh man. If I'd have known you were going to ask me that, I probably would have had a refill. I'm running on empty. I'd have to go all the way over there to do my refill. How do you grow your bags with AI? That's interesting. So here are a few things that you can do. You can create your own financial advisor and have it give you information on MACD and on various analyses like MACD, RSI, compare the two. So think of it as a financial advisor, right? If you think about a financial advisor, you start to break down what a financial advisor can do. So from an advisory perspective, you can take almost each element of what a financial advisor does and break them down into specific parts, build that out, and now you've got yourself a little financial advisor that can help you out with things. If you're talking about building a bot that's going to invest for you, that's a problem. Yo, Hutanic, what's good, what's good, what's good? Thank you for letting me know that you're investing in yourself right now. The problem with allowing AI to execute tasks on your behalf, meaning finalize movement, right? So I can understand simple things like, I'm going to have AI draft an email for me, and then I'll go read the email, make whatever changes I want to make, and then I will send it. You know what people are doing right now? What people are doing right now is they're having AI draft the letter, send the letter. Does anybody see a problem with that? Right? There's another problem with AI. The other problem with AI is, go read the news, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. OpenAI is absolutely using your data. When you tell OpenAI to delete your data, you're not telling it to delete your data. You're asking it to delete your data. You're asking them to delete your data. And even though they might receive that and act like it might be deleted, or you don't have access to the data, it doesn't mean that that data is all gone. Right? So there are a lot of things that OpenAI is doing, and I'm not going to say that the other companies are doing it, but I would think that to be competitive, they probably are. So I would do research on what information any one of those platforms is using to target you. They're going to be selling ads. They'll be the highest targeted ads ever, right? Because so many people are sharing so much of their personal information with those LLMs, large language models, that it has a clearer picture of who you are right? They're not MasterCard where they're just seeing what you're buying. They're not Google, they're just seeing what you're searching. They know context, interactions, and all the data that you give them. Kids' names, locations where you're going to be, all kinds of stuff that people are giving up. And that can all be leveraged to push ads to you, to push you to products that it thinks you like. Isn't pornography one of the new businesses for OpenAI? I thought it was. So do I want to leverage AI to grow my bags? I would leverage AI to perform analyses. I would leverage AI to do certain things, but I'm also looking at it from a perspective of I'm not using OpenAI for anything that I don't want it to know, that I feel fearful of it knowing. I use my implementation of large language models, and that's where I go to do everything. So all my information literally stays in-house. We've got like 10 nodes that we control, geographically dispersed, and that's the big deal. AI companies are recirculating finance, meaning they will extend loans to each other. No, that's not what he's talking about. What he wants to know is, how can I use AI to make money, to increase the value that he has? And I think that research is the best place for it. I would try not to use, it knows who you are because you have to pay for it. So people in your household could be using it. It's going to track back to you, to that account, that specific account. It knows about that specific account. And if you keep using it, it might actually be able to discern between you, your kids, your spouse, the dog, rat, cat, goldfish. Yeah. So if I was going to leverage AI, first of all, I would be leveraging my own implementation. I don't want AI. I don't want an open book AI to leverage my information, right? To do whatever it is they're going to do. Like I have not leveraged any one of those platforms for a while since we did the research. We wanted to be built, we wanted to see the research, see what it would come back with, and see, how that operates. And we also wanted to see the growth of AI. So from GPT-3 all the way up to 5, what did you do? How did you do it? How are you using that information? Did you deliver what you actually promised? And to a lot of those answers, to that last answer, it's pretty much no. But I learned how to data mine your data. Funny part is you're paying them to do it. And you're getting nothing from it except robbed. That's why I said, so if you want to leverage AI and you're good enough, or somebody that can set it up, or you can pay a service that will set up your local AI, let's just one with that is your environment. I would build my own financial analyst. I would have it read charts. Yeah, AI can read charts. I would have it read charts. I'd confirm, different ideas. I'd confirm different, entry points, different exit points. I would have it do that kind of hard calculation, to help me figure out what direction do I want to go in. Something else that AI did, that OpenAI did specifically, is they went out and they hired a whole bunch of Wall Street Excel jockeys. Yeah. These are the people that build out financial models and things like that. They're getting paid $150 an hour. Go look it up. These are all facts. They're getting paid $150 an hour, give or take, depending on who you are, what you negotiated, all that good stuff, but $150 an hour. And so with $150 an hour, what do I get? Aha. Eddie Murphy Coming to America. Aha. Yeah. And that's what you start to realize, holy moly, this is what I'm talking about. So if I wanted to leverage AI to do certain things, I would have it compare all kinds of deals. If I'm looking at a business, I want it to help me, analyze the numbers from that business. If I'm looking to buy stocks, bonds, options, oil, precious metals, crypto, blah, 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 whatever the heck, I'm going to have it help me analyze. I'm going to have it help me identify things that I may not have identified myself. I will have it help me create a tool that I can just punch the numbers into and it'll just come back with yes, no. So for example, when I go buy properties, I do not buy a property that is not 100%, not 100%, but in the black, not a toe in the black. I mean, in the black the day I buy it. My loans, whatever else is associated, I'm in the black. If I'm not in the black, that's a purchase that doesn't happen. Sound crazy? It's not. It's not. You start to realize, holy moly, I can do a lot of stuff. I can do a lot of things with AI and have it help me get to certain places. I can have it help me understand concepts that I didn't understand before. So that's how I would leverage AI to help me get to the next level. Investing in multiple AI companies with ETFs is another way to grow my bags. It could be, but that's not something I would do. That's not something I would tell my kids to do. Michael Burry, Burry, The Big Short. I told you the other day, you want to know what he's shorting? Palantir and freaking Nvidia. That's a huge 1 point something billion or something like that, some ridiculous number. And he's shorting those stocks. Huh. I told you before that I think that there is an AI bubble. I think the AI bubble is going to be much like the .com bubble. So back to Hutanik's point, putting it in context for how I would use it, I think it's going to be like an internet bubble, where when it first came out and you had e-commerce come out and all that good stuff, it just exploded with stuff. And then, boop, everything went belly up. Or a lot of companies went belly up. The .com bust. Okay? Then what happened after that? The internet matured. That was its way of shrugging off all that dead weight. Remember what I told you about the whole meme thing? That we're going to wind up going through the great culling, the great consolidation. Remember I told you about that? So that's what I'm expecting. Right? So when I look at AI, I'm expecting the same thing, that there's this whole boom and, everybody's doing something. And then some company comes out with a new feature and it wipes out a whole slew of businesses that were doing that feature. And now they're doing it. Especially OpenAI. You want to know why? Because they opened up a marketplace where you could sell your features. Sounds like an Amazon tactic, right? Come sell your stuff on Amazon. We won't copy it. That's exactly what happened. When AI first came out, when OpenAI first came out with ChatGPT, was ChatGPT connected to the internet? No. It could not search the internet, not natively. Now ChatGPT is a conglomeration of products and services under the ChatGPT banner that enable the tool to do certain things. Create images, create scripts, search the internet. You're looking at different components, provide certain services to that interface, and then it gives you an answer. A lot of those tools were what other companies were doing that are now, they're not in that business anymore because now it's built in. Now it's built in. And I've seen this happen time and time again. Microsoft did it, right? I had gotten involved with this company, Future Step or Future Scope, something like that. They had a really cool idea. Instead of having all those words at the in your browser and everything, it would just be Rick Ritchie, Eddie J. Wouldn't be all that .com, blah, 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 all that stuff. So you'd be able to find me quickly. Yeah, Microsoft took them out of business like that. I think they bought them or something like that, or they changed how things worked in Internet Explorer or something like that, and yeah, that company was done. And it was mad cool software too. But I've seen it time and time again. Look at how many times Microsoft has, just in business, not even just Microsoft, just in business in general. Look at how many companies had great tech, great ideas, whatever it was, get bought by a larger company just to be shelved. Happened in banking a lot. Because you know what they wanted to do? They wanted to get rid of that small company. They wanted it just out of the way. Get out of the way. Go away. And that's what they did. They bought it. Everybody got paid. The little golden handcuffs. And they got to watch their product, their company, get shelved. For the love of money. So if I'm looking at AI and somebody says, oh, I want to invest in AI, I think there's a bubble. I think it's going to burst within the next couple of years. I keep telling you guys this. When you have technology companies building computers that have AI built in, NVIDIA has a computer for $4,000 that has everything already built in. You can buy it. Boom. There you go. A lot of companies have it. Strix Halo has one. You have a lot of companies that are building out those machines. And it's not just those machines. They're also putting that same tech inside laptops. They're putting the same tech inside laptops. So I think you should really pay attention to what you want to do with AI. Investing in AI from a company perspective, maybe you can make some money. But that whole circle jerk thing that they have going on, where money doesn't really pass hands, yeah, I don't know about that. Because I don't know that the business model that they're in actually survives. That's my point. Microsoft and Oracle were known for buying and shelving companies, and you did invest in yourself today. Thank you, DMAC. Yeah, because I normally don't read anything unless you have invested, but I saw that first, and that's why I read. But you always invest in yourself. So does Nutanix, so does Rick Ritchie. But those are massive problems. Massive problems. User sovereignty is a major problem. And OpenAI has basically just come out and is showing us, oh, they don't care about that. Your user sovereignty doesn't mean anything. Why should it? You're giving us your data. You're handing it to us. I mean, I want you to think about something that's a little bit closer to home. So many people have Facebook accounts. So with those Facebook accounts, you have people that sit there and they're kind of like, oh, Facebook is using my data, selling my data. Oh my gosh, how could they? What happened to Facebook? Did they go out of business? I know, I'm asking a silly question. They calculated the risk and treated it as cost of doing business. Do you remember how much they were fined? Because I can't. Doesn't mean that they weren't, but I can't remember. But I can almost guarantee that whatever they were fined, they made more money off of doing what they did than they had to pay back to that fine. So the difference, the delta, is going to be called profit. Yeah, remember that whole Cambridge Analytica thing? Yeah, now you're catching on. So think about that. And now take it to the next level, which is AI with OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, all of them. Just look at it like that. And you sit back and you kind of go, holy moly, people are giving away their lives. Those stories that you hear about people taking their own lives, unaliving themselves because of what some of these things have come back to. Yeah, that's true. Those aren't lies. Those are truths. So invest in an AI company. You won't catch me doing that. Invest in a tech company like NVIDIA. Maybe. If Michael Burry wasn't doing some stuff talking about, hey, I think that I'm going to short them. But what did NVIDIA do? NVIDIA is one of those companies that said, well, we can supply the high-end chips for the big companies that are doing the whole big stuff with AI. And we can kind of hedge our bets by supplying these chips that you can put in computers and you can sell those. Desktops, laptops, affordable numbers. I mean, 4 years ago, what they're selling now for $4,000, even 2 years ago, would have been amazing. $4,000 today? Not when I can buy a similar machine, damn near the same machine, for half the price, literally half the price. Did you shave any profits today? So remember I told you guys that I was getting hot for Aster? Not from necessarily an investment perspective, but from a trading perspective. I had gotten in yesterday. I told you guys I got in for $1 again. And today it went up as high as $1.14. I got out at $1.13 and change. Quick 13%. Over the past, 3 or 4 days, I'm up 49.5%. It's either 45.9 or 45.7, something like that. But that's how much I'm up in 4 days. Yeah. The math works like this. You start off with $100 and you go up 20%. Now you got $1.20. It goes, you sell it at $1.20, you take your profit and you go on with it. And so now you've got your profit and you wait for it to go down again. Go up another 10%. Not bad. So $120, that's an additional $12. You're at $132. You sell. It comes back down again. You go up another 13%. You sell. You're at 49.5%. Crazy, right? I told you guys, if you can do that 10 times over the course of a year, whatever money you're using in that space, you can do that. I'm not saying it's easy. I identified a coin that I could do it with, and so I did it. And it's been working out. But right now, Aster is at $1.11. That's a great number, 111. So it's at $1.11. But I got out at 113. After I got out at 113, it hit 114 and came down. So it's at $1.11 right now. Okay. I'm going to chill. I've got faith that it's going to come down again. I also have faith that it's going to wind up going way back up. Right? I have faith that it's going to go way back up. But it'll go way back up when everything starts going back up. Remember the math I told you that I do? That math that says, oh, I want to see, I want to see how much money I'm making, or how much money I could make from this point forward. So there's a lot of math that happens between then and there. So you've got the GMB X factor that takes you all the way to the all-time high. You've got another number that takes you to where it was before the dip. See that difference? And you can figure out, well, from where it is now to where it was when everything started going awry, how much space do I have? I list them all out. This one's going to be this much, this much, this much, this percentage, this percentage, this percentage. And I can kind of start thinking about which one do I like the most? Which one do I think has the best chances of getting there? Within that time frame, within a given time frame. There's a lot of math that goes into that. It's like moving chips on roulette, knowing where the marble stops on the wheel. Sometimes, Lieutenant, people are asking serious questions. You're coming out with jokes. No, that's not what it is. It's you literally sitting down and doing math and understanding what it is. Sort of like that. Sort of like that. You're still betting on the possibility that you believe that it's going to be here. But instead of having the whole roulette of numbers, you've been able to diminish the number of slots that it's going to drive into. That's probably a better thought. You're kind of whittling it down and increasing your chances of winning. It's not a game, though. It's an investment. So you're hoping that I can invest $1 inside Aster and hope that it gets back to, what was it, $1.46 before? Or I can look at Aster and I can go, it's got good volatility. Look at the charts. Go back like a week. Go back like 2 weeks and start looking at the charts to see, well, is it bouncing within a space? Remember how we would look at Bitcoin and we would say it's moving laterally. Well, when it moves laterally, is it moving in a straight line? No, it's not. It's going like this. It's just staying right here. Staying right here. So if I can pick out when it's going to go like this and when it's going to go like that, not easy to do. But you might be able to see, well, if it's trading within this range and it hits this certain point, it's going to hit this certain point. Anything below that, I'm good. So maybe you give it a couple of seconds before you execute to see if that trend stays. If it doesn't, maybe you catch it on the way up, you catch it by 1 penny or something like that, and you execute quick. Boom, done. Or maybe you're silly like me and you say, I think it's going to go down to $1. I'm going to put in a buy at $1. You want to know what happened the first time I did that? It went down to 90 cents. So I had to wait. It went down to 90 cents and then it shot up to $1.20. And then I sold. It was like $1.20.08, something like that. And I sold. So yeah, I'm Shay. I'm out there, sometimes you have to create opportunities even in a down market, because this is a down market, is it not? Bitcoin's down 20%. Is this not a down market? Isn't that what I tell you guys? There are ways to make money in a down market. So that's what I've been telling my kids is I'm making a couple of bucks on this down market. Did I put a lot of money into it? No. But did I put decent money into it? Yeah. I've been watching. I'd been watching for a minute. And I was like, oh, this one is giving me good volatility. Now, here's something else. Is that the only one that's giving good volatility? You have to go do research and see look over the past week and see what the rhythm is of a coin. Isn't that what I told you guys? That I like understanding the rhythm of coins? I've been saying that forever, right? Now you know why I want to know. Now you know why I want to know. Because if I can understand the rhythm of a coin, I might, just like hopscotch. I'm not hopscotch, just like double dutch. I can understand the rhythm of those ropes, and then I can get in. I can understand the rhythm of those ropes, and then I can get out. Before tripping up and busting my lip. See, I haven't even looked at virtual. And I own a bag of virtual. I have not even looked at it. But my advice would be look at the coins that you have and say, well, because these are coins I already believe in. I don't have to do research on the coin. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about doing research on the movement of the coin. Right? So if I do research on the movement on the coin, well, that makes it a lot easier for me. So I hadn't even looked at virtuals because I had already hopped in and locked in on Aster. I'd be interested to know what's the range of virtuals percentage-wise, because I care about the value. It's not about the number that I'm buying. Some people are like, oh, that one's really expensive. Oh. And what's your point? If you can put in $100 and it's going to go up 10% and you walk away with $110, who cares if it's $100? Right? Maybe it's $1,000 and you only have 100. Okay, buy fractional. You put in your $100. It's still going up 10%. I don't understand the thinking that people have about that coin's too expensive. It cracks me up. Cracks me up. What I care about is, does it have room to grow? Or does it not have room to grow? The psyche says, oh, the smaller the coin, the more I can get of it. And then if it goes up, I can make 100x. I wonder how many people still think that you can make 100x right now. That 100x opportunities exist. Not gambling. Right? You'd have to go over to Kalshi or Poly Market to do that whole gambling thing. Highly possible. Highly possible. I mean, you can bet on anything. My kid's going to poop at 6 o'clock. Who wants to bet? They're allowing you to bet on almost everything. I'm actually shocked that Virtuals had that much movement. They've been killing it, but how do you mean they've been killing it? Hold it. It's your left. Virtuous Protocol, 55%. Oh, it kills it in a day. 24 hours, it was up 24 hours ago, it was up 24.31%. Right now, it's down 1.65. But does the chart show you that it's giving you almost predictable movements? Yeah, no, that's not. Look at that chart, man. That chart's not giving you predictable movements. No, in no way. In no way is this chart giving you predictable movements. It's doing well. If you were able to pinpoint, you have belief in it. I have a bag, like I said. If you were able to pinpoint when it went all the way down to, let's say, $332.98. I'm sorry, $1.17. My bad. I was looking at the volume. If you're looking at $1.17.65, you're like, oh, I was able to pick that out. Right now, you're probably whistling Dixie, like mad happy. Whoever was able to get out at $1.57, earlier today, you're mad happy, right? But that's an event. That's not. If you look at Aster. Aster is, I should be taking you guys along for the ride. Let's do that. All right. So if I'm looking at Aster, where is it? Number 43? 44 now. That's fine. It's at right now. How long does it take? My gosh. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So over 1 week, I was able to see right here. Right there. I missed that 83-cent point. But right there at that $1.16, I had sold just before that. Okay, not mad. Right there at 97, I got in at $1. So I wasn't able to call the bottom. I don't expect to call the bottom, frankly. I don't expect to call the bottom. I'm expecting to be able to call. I can see that it's on a decline. I can see that it's going to go up. I can see that it's on a decline. And right now it's looking like it wants to go up a little bit. No. But that's giving me the right volatility to want to get in. Virtuals, I haven't done any research, but I think virtuals, they probably had news. They probably did something to be up 24%. Or maybe it's at the beginning of its volatility, which means I've got to wait for it to come down significantly for me to be able to take advantage. Over the past 3 days, I've been able to hit Aster at $1 3 times. I would have to be able to do that with virtuals. I don't know that I can do that with virtuals. Let me go back. Bear with me. I know. Control F. Yeah, I'm not able to do that with virtuals. but it has been killing it. Look at that. Over the past 90 days, 5%, 60 days, 16.38%, 30 days, 33.06%. You take a little bit of loss over the past 7 days, but over the past 24 hours, 24%. Virtuals has been killing it. Like, damn. But over the year, for this year, look at that, 62.18. Down. Year to date, 62.18. When I brought it up a week and a half ago, it was 79 cents. Then went to $1.90, then back to $1.20, and today went to $1.60. Yeah, that's a wide range. I don't know that I could have called that. Hutanik, you know what? You're absolutely right. Normally, that's what you would do. But are you doing that from a trading perspective, or are you doing that from a hodling perspective? I'm talking about day trading. I'm not talking about buying and hodling. I'm talking about day trading. Day trading, I was able to identify, holy smoke, this one seems to be moving within a range. I might be able to take advantage of that range. Now you know why every time I show you guys, the Bitcoin chart, I have bands. The straight lines that I have going, I have bands, right? You can see all my bands. That's why I do it. Because I'm trying to identify patterns. I'm trying to identify volatility patterns where I can get in, get out, get in, get out, get in, get out. Maybe I can only do it once for this particular coin. Maybe I can only do it once. For this coin, I was able to do it 3 times. Extreme luck. Extreme luck. I think I can do it one more time. I'm expecting for it to go down one more time. Because like I said, if it goes down again, I'm absolutely in, and I probably put in more money. And I'm not going to be upset if it shoots down again. I'll be fine with that. Right? Because at that point, I'm thinking I'm closer to the government opening up, and that's going to free up a lot to make everything explode. And meanwhile, I will have bought all the way down here. That's what I'm trying to time. I'm trying to get everything in before this happens, when the government decides to get their funky behinds back to work. That's what I'm looking for. That's literally what I'm looking for. I'm talking about the flow or the beat, the jump rope. See, I don't need that long for that. That's too long for me to be looking at. I'm looking at day trading. I'm looking at trends right now. Going back 12 months, that's longer than the 200 moving day average. Going back 12 months, 24 months, I'm not going to get a rhythm from that. That's too much data, actually. I'm not going to get a rhythm. For me, I'm not going to get a rhythm from that. I'm looking minute by minute, hour by hour. Is it showing me a rhythm? Astra immediately showed me a rhythm. You're going to be able to play the game between $1 and $1.20 right now. That's what it told me. That's what I read. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. I watched it do it a couple of times, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to get in. My instincts tell me, my math told me, my documented risk framework told me that works. If I have faith in that coin, and that coin is showing me, hey, I could be moving the way I need to move, that's what I'm going to do. So I gave it a whirl, and it worked. I understand looking 12 to 24 months, but I think that's extremely long for this exercise. That's a crazy extreme to me for this exercise. To me, that's just too much. Because I could be going, look at what Rick Ritchie just said. When he brought it up last week, it was at 79 cents. And then from 79 cents, it shot all the way up to $1.90. And it hasn't seen $1.90 since, and it hasn't seen 79 cents since. You can kind of say that's your range, but it kind of isn't, right? It kind of isn't. There's a tighter range in between that takes you, the high is like what, $1.60? Oh no, a buck 20. Went back to a buck 20, and then it came back up to a buck 60. There's your tighter range. Are you going to be able to see that over 24 months? I don't think you're going to see that over 24 months. Because you're watching the action right now. You're watching the volume right now. Who's buying, who's not buying. You're listening to the news. You're specifically looking for news about that. You want to know what gave me the confidence about Aster? I told you what it was. It was the fact that CZ is backing it. So I had already researched Aster, and I thought it killed me. I was like, I just squandered away a whole bunch of money. Right? CZ came along, and I got in on that mad fast. That was the second time I told you guys that I had gotten in on something mad fast because I saw news before everybody else. So I got in. I put my buy-in at $1. It had gone down. Boom, CC came along and buck 20. That was a nice nut. I was like, I'm going to put that away. Everybody has how they do things. My risk framework, my risk framework operates in a different way. If I'm looking at long term, I want more data. If I'm looking at short term, I need more acute data. Depending on what I'm doing. If I'm doing day trading, I absolutely want acute data. Am I expecting any news? What's going on with its platform? Has anybody said anything? Is anybody else involved? Have there been, any secret whale movements? All of that. I'm tuning into that. Yeah, that's cute. New scam. Totally separate conversation. New scam. You'll receive an invitation, an appointment via email, and it's inviting you to a meeting. And it'll put it on your calendar as tentative unless you send it to junk. So be careful, because that's what I just got. Be careful. I've been getting those have been popping up a lot. They've been popping up a lot. Just sharing with you guys. The variable we cannot calculate is macro changes to the globe. That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. And you're probably sitting there going, how could you possibly disagree with me, Eddie? How could you possibly disagree with me? Sometimes you can watch macro events unfold. And sometimes your risk framework will tell you, I can see that macro event unfolding. I can see what's going on. And you can react accordingly. That time that I woke up in the middle of the night and I bought some shares, or I bought some coins, it's because I saw it 2 days before other people saw it. And I was able to make money. CZ has a lot to do with the pump for putting Dino token on Aster. I know nothing about Dino. I only know Aster. What is Aster? He wants Aster to be the DEX. He wants it to be the primary DEX, like Binance is the primary SEX. Decentralized exchange, centralized exchange. DEX, SEX, for those that didn't know. Because we get a lot of new people watching. And I should be streaming on Facebook. Can anybody check Grow My Bag on Facebook to see if it's actually streaming? Because I thought I set it up. Is it Facebook? Is it Grow My Bag? I think so. I think that's the way it would work. Yeah, it was up so much stuff, and I should have known better. I should have hopped on this computer and done it. So yeah, Facebook loads up so much stuff when you open up Facebook, that what I should have done was I should have used my other computer, which is sitting right there, to open up Facebook. But yeah, it's sitting there. So sorry about that, guys, and ladies. Glad I dumped BNB at 1,200. I just bought more. Holy crap! I just got one of those calendar You just got one of those calendar notifications a few minutes ago. Yep. But that's what they're doing. That's the newest thing. They're not just sending you spam. They're sending you meeting invites, and then you open it up and what? Yeah. So yeah, be careful out there. Have you invested in yourself? Yep. Adding a little more to my daily investment. That's what I'm talking about. Sorry about that blip. Like I said, Facebook, when you go to Facebook on using a normal desktop web browser, they load up so much crap that it drains resources on your computer because there's a huge CPU and memory spike that happens. So I apologize for that. More reason to have a computer just for crypto. No, I have a computer just for crypto. I have dedicated computers all over the place. But resources take resources. That's why sometimes, if you notice, that's why sometimes I ask you guys, hey, I have a question. Can somebody please research this? Because resources are resources. Just because you have a bigger computer, a dedicated computer, doesn't matter. If I have more resources available, it's going to take the more resources. Yeah. It's just going to do that. So yeah, I'm not wasting my time with having 50 million different computers. I already do that for very specific things. But my normal desktop, if I can't do it on my normal desktop, I don't care. I just don't. It's too much work, man. You know that. It's just too much work. And with everything that I have on my schedule, that's not work that I'm willing to do. Have a computer just for shooting a show. I'm not doing that. Maybe in the future when I'm a bazillionaire, when I get $1 trillion contract, with the government shutdown, made the manipulation of the market more transparent. Yeah. It actually did. Like you can't. So I want you to look up Peter Thiel. He's on tape saying it's harder to hide money. I got that off a news show. He's literally on there saying it's harder to hide money if you're rich, if you're wealthy. And I sat there and I was just like, wow. I take it for granted no matter where I'm at, I'm being recorded, even by somebody that doesn't have my permission to record me. And here's Peter Thiel saying the quiet part out loud. It's harder to hide your money. Yeah. Why do you think I tell you guys all the time, listen, if you're paying it, that means you're making it. If you're paying taxes, that means you made money. Now it's up to you to figure out how you can pay less in taxes. The more money you make, the more opportunities you have to bring down your tax numbers. I think like the easiest one that I can tell you about is the Augusta rule. Go look up the Augusta rule and you'll be like, wow. Dead serious. You'll just be like, huh? How did that happen? Because the tax laws were written for people that have money. That's why. The more money you make, the more loopholes, the more tools are afforded to you to pay less in taxes. Does the average person have enough money to set up a trust? Does the average person have enough money to set up an LLC? Does the average person have enough money to pay somebody that knows how to set them up properly so that all your money cascades the way it's supposed to cascade and goes up and funnels the way it's supposed to funnel? Do they have that? When I say cascade, I mean like when you drop dead, it cascades to all your kids and all of that keeps going. And there's one family entity that lives on forever because when somebody dies, it goes back into that family entity. That family entity keeps giving it down to the generations. Yeah. Go look that up. It's no joke. It's absolutely no joke when you see that. When you read about it, you'll be like, they can do that? Yeah, they can do that. The more money you make, the next level, the more mature you are in the financial space, the more you'll learn about this, that, the other. The first year I bought a house, I didn't know about the Augusta rule. I found out, and then I was able to take advantage. But that first year I bought a house, I didn't know. I'm in a totally different space. Holy moly, who knew? A lot of people knew, just not me. You know something else that rich people do? Oh, their homes, they put those puppies into trust. Why do they put them in the trust? So that when they drop dead, rest in peace, it probate. On death, it goes to the children, it goes to the wife, it goes to whoever. But upon death, immediately switches over. Then you have to go to the banks and your insurance companies and do the same thing. Upon death, the moment you die, it instantly belongs to this person. That same nanosecond belongs to this person. No probate, no nothing. Remember when I told you guys you need to have your team around you? Who did I say your team was? Your CPA, your tax attorney, your trust and wills attorney, and any other attorney that you need to do stuff. You need to have your team around you. CPA meaning accountant. And you want an accountant like Christy Nichols, my accountant, that knows crypto. That knows about stuff like the Augusta rule. Because I can tell you now, if you're not making money and you're working with an accountant, most likely that the other customers of that accountant are within the same, maybe 2 spaces, right? 2 brackets, maybe 3 if they're lucky. But are those 3 brackets up here where he or she are gonna be tapping into the Augusta rule a lot? It's not that they don't know, but if it's not top of mind, front of head, they're not going to be like, oh, you own a business, and if you own a business and you own your home, you can do the Augusta rule thing, and that's more money that you can write off. And because they're dealing with clients that don't have that problem, don't have that opportunity availed to them. So it's not top of mind. So you have to deal with an accountant that's able to accept you, even though you might be their lowest rung, because they can put different things to use for you. That's why. So if you're mucking around in crypto, you need to have an accountant that knows crypto. Before you were mucking around with crypto, you didn't need an accountant like that. And then it became, oh, well, what accountants actually muck around in crypto? Christy Nicholas does. My accountant does. So yeah. I've been with Christy. My daughter is okay, so about 23 years. Imagine. I've been with my accountant for 23 years. That's almost on the dot. Almost on the dot. So yeah, I pay attention to what my accountants know, what I don't know. And you want to know if your accountant knows something? Fire up AI and ask it, for this price range in this state, in this municipality, what are the tax laws and what are the best laws for me to implement that will lower my taxes if I'm in this situation, earning this amount of money, blah, 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 blah. And it'll come back with ideas for you. But of course you have to tell it you are the top notch, CPA, blah, 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 blah. And it can come back to you with all of that information. And you'll be like, oh my God, I wonder if my accountant knew about that. If you go to your accountant and you tell your accountant something and they go, oh yeah, time for a new accountant. Time for a new accountant, period. You could love them to death. Time for a new accountant. It's not that they don't know. It's that I had to come to you with that information. What the hell am I paying you for? I'm paying you for your knowledge. I'm not paying you just to do my taxes. I'm paying you for your knowledge. You're supposed to come to me with, hey, you're in a different tax bracket now. There are a couple of things we should talk about. Consider this. You'll be able to do this, this, and that. So when we file taxes next time, this is what we'll be doing. This is why we'll be doing it. Aha. That's why. I found that there is a lot that a CPA are not allowed to tell you, but they can answer the right questions because you are a paying client. I've never in my life heard of that. Maybe where you live, I've never in my life heard of that. They're allowed to ask you. Where I'm from, they're allowed to answer anything that applies to accounting. They can't answer you about, well, how can I hide my money? That's kind of illegal. That's like trying to set up money laundering. They're not allowed to really participate in that. Legally, they're not allowed to. Now you know why different kinds of people have different kinds of accountants. But I've never heard of that. So if as long as it's within their scope of accounting, they can answer all of that. But that's why you hire. That's why if you look at people that move differently in and around the law, now you know why those people really do well with setting up LLCs and corporations and this, that, and the other. They're really good at that. They know what they're doing, how they're doing it. Something to pay attention to. Just saying. Just saying. A CPA will provide more breaks. The tax attorney will disagree with the CPA. That's your experience. That's never been my experience. Everybody has their own experience. I can respect that. I can absolutely respect that. It's never been my experience. But yeah, I would pay attention to having the right people around you that are doing the right things. The tax attorney is going to talk to you about the law as it applies. The accountant's going to talk to you about the numbers as it applies to accounting law. Different things. It's not for the accountant. CPA is different than your tax attorney, so you're going to have to pay attention. Interview your people. Interview your people. And don't be afraid to find new people. Like I said, I've been with Christy for 20 years. She knows, highest in, first out for crypto and maybe something different for other things. But she understands, she understands my real estate holdings. She understands my business holdings. She understands my personal taxes. She understands all that stuff. And so she's able to look at the big picture and figure it all out for me and come back to me and be like, if we do this, this is what it means. If we do this, this is what it means. I recommend doing this. So she might come to me with 3 different choices plus her recommendation. I make the final decision. And my decision is always based on, am I protected from prosecution? Because I'm too pretty to go to jail. That's honestly the way I look at it. It's honestly the way I look at it. Just saying. Just saying. And your CPA versus your tax attorney, I don't know. I mean, nobody's going to agree 100% of the time, but you want to understand why they're in disagreement. And you need to understand what your priorities are. So for me, my thing is I don't want to go to jail. So whatever's going to be legal, I'm cool with that. Whatever's not going to raise a red flag, I'm cool with that. You know how people get red flags? Oh, they do stupid stuff with leased cars, leased automobiles. They pay for it with their personal and try to claim it for the business. Yeah, I don't know. If it's going to be for the business pays for it. And if the business is paying for it, the business better be operating in the black even after they pay the car bills. Right? Because if not, that's a red flag. I want to know what the red flags are. I want to know what's going on. Well, everything seems to be green. Wow, look at that. Astra's at $1.10 from $1.11. Interesting. Just saying. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do, do me a favor. Smash the likes. Tell your friends about this community because it really is a strong community. We got a lot of stuff going on. You know what I noticed? Our community, during the show, during the lives, I don't get a lot of people watching, but we get so many people watching after. I know this because I see the numbers. I see the numbers on TikTok. I see the numbers on YouTube. I see the numbers on Facebook, on Instagram. It's a lot. And we have a lot of voyeurs. They don't subscribe. They're not members, but they watch on the regular. And it's got to be true because the numbers, the metrics on my side don't lie. And I appreciate all of it. It's because of you guys. So I appreciate it. So as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And absolutely, thank you for your trust. I will fight for that every day. I'm not going to BS you. If I disagree with something, I'm going to say I disagree with it. I respect what you're saying. I just disagree. You might disagree with what I'm saying. That's fine. It's healthy. I hope you do. And then some people are sitting there going, huh? Because if you have a differing opinion, I want to know that opinion. Because maybe you are right. And I need to change my mind. For everybody that's been here for a couple of years, they know that to be true. You've seen me change my mind. Be like, ooh, didn't know that. Yeah, let me get out of my own way and go learn something. That's why it's a community. That's why it's a community. All my big baggers, you should have gotten a meeting invitation, and then you got a correction for the meeting invitation for Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will be on there talking about all things investment. I know Fatima wants to talk to me about identifying things like Aster, virtuals. Right? I want to know, because there's a difference between a coin that's popping off and the coin that's moving. Right? But virtuals, 24% movement in 24 hours, that's pretty hot. Kind of ticked off that I didn't get in, like I wasn't paying attention to it. Not at all. So it took a hard hit and it started coming back. That's going to be interesting. Anyway, everybody, have a great night. I'll see you on. I normally don't do a Sunday roundup if I'm doing the show, the private video conference, but I'll contemplate it. So maybe Sunday, but definitely Monday. Everybody, thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.